Again, welcome to this candidate forum. This is a beautiful day in District 5, is it not? Thank you all for being here. Thank you. And in our beautiful Guadalupe Theater. In order to participate in this forum, each candidate was required to complete a questionnaire. I believe all of you got this at the entrance. And each candidate was sent this questionnaire. They were to return it by a certain time, to reply and comply by a certain date. So this is the responses in the packets. And you will note that each and every candidate was contacted for this opportunity to address you. If a candidate was contacted or if a candidate did not respond by the deadline, it's also noted in the packet. So please read it when you get a chance. You're going to get more information about the candidates. As we begin, I ask that you kindly turn off or silence your cell phones. We want to minimize the distractions so that we can focus on our presentation. This event was brought and arranged to you by the Citizens for Responsive Leadership in District 5. If we have any of those people, please stand up just so that we can see you. Okay, these are them. CRL in District 5. And I'm Janie Hernandez, also a long-term resident of District 5, and I'm really pleased to serve as your moderator for this very, very informative event. The purpose of this event was to create an opportunity. It's to create an opportunity for the candidates to introduce themselves and to answer any and all questions that you have had for them up to now. It's also an opportunity for you, and that's very, very important, because you get to know who your candidates are before you vote on Saturday, May 11th. Saturday, May 11th is the official voting date. There will be some absentee voting prior to that. So based on what you see and what you hear today, you have this yellow card. This yellow card is going to give you an opportunity to ask questions as well. What you'll do is you'll write a question on the card, you sign it. If there's more than one of you formulating this question, please add all the names. Hold up your card. My assistant, David Yanis, will be walking around collecting this card. So when you've written your question and signed it, just hold it up. David will notice it and he'll go and pick it up. He'll review the cards also just to make sure that the questions aren't duplicated. And when the time comes that we ask the audience questions, I will ask the author of the question to stand. I'm going to read the question and then you can sit down, okay? Okay, we want to welcome the candidates now. They will be seated in the order that they're listed on the ballot. I just want to remind you again, the purpose of this is so that they introduce themselves, they answer our questions, and then so you can make a very informative decision on what's the voting day? That's right, Saturday, May 11th. Also, we realize that asking questions, we may agree with some of the responses, we may disagree with some of them, but let's agree to keep a very friendly atmosphere. Let's refrain from voicing any loud opinions or any negative opinions. No loud heckling, please. And no other forms of distractions and reactions, okay? So with your cooperation, I promise we're going to try to stay on schedule. So we're going to begin with the questions that the committee has prepared. Our timer for this afternoon's event is Alan Townsend. He's seated at this front row right here. And candidates, you're going to have no more than 2 minutes to give us introductory remarks. Okay, this is going to be your introductory remark, no more than 2 minutes. When you have 30 seconds left, Mr. Townsend will raise one hand, just like he is right now. When you have 10 seconds left, he's going to raise 2 hands. When your time is up, he's going to sound a tone, and you will need to stop speaking at that moment. That's the tone that you will hear when your time is up. And then we're going to alternate as to who will begin to answer every question thereafter. So this question is going to begin with Richard Cardenas. Okay, candidates. Within your introductory remarks, we ask that you share with us what background you have that qualifies you for the job of City Council Representative from District 5?
Good afternoon. First, I'd like to thank the concerned citizens for District 5 for holding this forum, and thank you for each and every one of you who felt it was important to be out here. I'm a lifelong District 5 resident for 52 years. I've raised a family here, a member of Our Lady of Guadalupe, have coached at San Juan de los Lagos, was a founding member of the Acts community at St. John Birchman. With my family, one of my kids graduated from Holy Cross, the other one graduated from Lanier. I spend my time with the Avenida Guadalupe, helping them with their economic development, and also the 16 Parade. From there, I was recruited to go to the Texas Restaurant Association, where I served as the Assistant Metro Director for them here in the San Antonio office, overseeing the $1.3 billion industry of the restaurant industry here in San Antonio. I'm currently a owner of Luke 11 Ventures, Inc. We are the owner-operators for the Avis at Brooks City Base. With all that, I bring the economic development, the small business side, working for the corporate world as well as for the private nonprofit. So I feel those are my qualifications to bring into this district. And the one thing that I can say the most is that I had a group of residents to come and ask me to run. I did not seek to run for this office. So with that backing, I stand before you ready to serve.
Thank you, Mr. Cardenas. Okay, go ahead, Shirley.
Thank you, everyone, for being here today, and especially the concerned citizens group that allowed us the opportunity to introduce ourselves today. My name is Shirley Gonzalez, and I am the owner of Bill's Pawn and Jewelry, our family business for over 52 years. Those of you who have grown up in a family business, and I know many of us have, know that we spend our lives there. As children, you're put to sweep and mop and do all of the chores. And I've spent my life here in the family business, 52 years off of Zarzamora in Commerce. I'm a graduate of St. Mary's University, my bachelor's degree and master's degree in business from there. I am a long-time triathlete, which means I do swimming, biking, and running, very long-distance events. It's 146 miles of running, swimming, and biking, and I believe that this will also give me the endurance that I need to serve you all. I am also the wife of a proud Air Force veteran. I am an animal lover, and since I've been here in the district for about 3 years now, I moved recently on Buena Vista, and I have been very active in the rescue community. We've since adopted 14 animals and had them successfully adopted to other parts of the country, and also some here in San Antonio. I'm very most proud of my family business and my parents and how they have taught me to be very hardworking. I hope to serve you all in the capacity that I am able, especially considering how my hard work and my endurance and my commitment to you all. And I also believe that this is the best community in San Antonio to live in. I fell in love with my neighbors because mostly of how much everybody shares. And one of my neighbors, Ruben, okay.
Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez. John Carlos Garcia.
Good afternoon, I'm John Carlos Garcia. I would like to thank the citizens for responsive leadership for putting this together, and I would like to thank everybody for attending, to come out here and show your support for all of us, because this is not about an individual candidate or an individual representative. This is about our community. This is about what we're going to do for each other, not about what one person's going to do. We need to come together. What qualifies me? I've been a leader. I've been a leader of youth. I've been a leader in the business world. I built a business. At the age of 22, I opened my first insurance office. I'm proud to say at this day I do not have to go to that office on a regular basis because the office runs itself because of the support and thanks of my family and the mother of my children, Bernadette Valdez, who's been like a rock there with me along with my parents and my brothers. This is what we need to do. It's about togetherness, not about divisiveness. We need to come together as a community and support each other. These ideas, it's about ideas and not individuals. As men and women, we are fallible. As ideas will prevail and triumph all of that. If we start building our neighborhood associations, we start building our civic organizations, our youth groups, all of that stuff is what we need and what is required to make our community strong. This is our community, not an individual, not a part of the district, but the entire district. We have Edgewood Independent School District, we have Harlandale Independent School District, and we have the San Antonio Independent School District. We all need to work together and look at what we can do as a whole. What else qualifies me is my confidence. My confidence from every one of y'all who comes here today to support each other. It's what you do. You are the ones that are driving all of us to come here today and to give all that we have for this community. So once again, I'll reiterate, it is not about an individual. Once again, my name is John Carlos Garcia. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ricardo Briones.
Good afternoon, everybody. I want to thank everybody for showing up. I know it's Saturday afternoon. You'd rather be maybe barbecuing or hanging out with your loved ones, and it really shows, I guess, the community that you guys care about these issues, you guys care about your community, and I care about these things too. I'd also like to thank David Medina's office for bringing his signs. They're right here. That was a joke, I'm sorry. But they are very nice placeholders. Okay, thank you for laughing at that. So I guess the question was some introductory comments and some background as what makes me the best candidate for City Council District 5. I grew up in District 5. I grew up at my parents. They lived on Groveton Street. My dad is a proud Vietnam veteran. He's worked for the post office for 36 years. Working there, I truly learned the value of hard work, and I learned the value of unions, and also what makes a family, what drives it. I learned these values of hard work, and they helped propel me through high school where I worked, through college where I worked, and then through law school while I worked while also going to law school. After law school, I passed the bar, started practicing. I'm a practicing attorney, and also, I'm very active in many community organizations. One that's very near and dear to my heart, it's San Antonio Cultural Arts. If you're not familiar with them, they do a lot of the murals on the west side. What they try to do is essentially beautify this beautiful neighborhood. It's a great thing for graffiti abatement. It's also a great thing in general. And that's kind of what I want to do. I want to beautify this neighborhood. I want to get people excited. I want to get people passionate about these things. I helped represent the DREAM Act students in their sit-in with Kay Bailey Hutchinson. That was a huge risk that I took because I could have gotten arrested, but I'm very passionate about rights for the individual. I think the top 3 issues I have is streets, crimes, and jobs. I want to thank you very much. This man is holding his hands up, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it short. Please vote for me, Ricardo Briones. Yo hablo español y yo te puedo ayudar. Gracias.
Okay, thank you very much. And just one reminder, as we proceed, as we continue, we're going to keep it friendly, right? Okay, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, okay. Frank Ramirez, please, 2 minutes.
Good afternoon, San Antonio. My name is Frank Ramirez. First off, I'd like to thank you for showing up for this forum today. I know that there are a lot of things that are going on in San Antonio right now that most people would rather be concerned with, like South by Southwest or festivals going on in the city right now. But you show the example that what is really important in San Antonio, so I thank you for being here. Now, I first must apologize that I do not possess the same amount of accolades that the other candidates here possess. But what I do have is a background in San Antonio. I grew up here. I was raised here. I walked the streets to go to school. I would walk the streets to go to work. I encountered many problems, many obstacles that made that very difficult, made that very challenging. And I know for some of you that continues to be a problem today. I have always felt that there is more that could be done with our community, and I feel that the district has been stagnant for far too long and been represented by someone who chooses to keep a seat warm and not take progressive action into its development. I stand here before you today to say that I am all about progressive action from my own background. I was a high school dropout. I was out at a time I was doing questionable things that made my life very difficult, and it took a lot of courage to make the change for myself and for my family. Since then, I have become a bachelorette holder from Ashford University, and I'm currently in my master's study for education. If I can make a change for myself, I can make the same change for this district. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we have 5 questions prepared by members of the Citizens for Responsive Leadership for District 5. In this next series of questions, you're going to have 1 minute to answer each of these questions. The procedure will be the same. We'll get the warnings from Mr. Townsend. 30 seconds left, 1 hand, 10 seconds left, 2 hands, and when your time is up, you will hear the tone. Okay, now, Shirley Gonzalez, you'll be the leading one to answer the question here. This is question number 1. What are the top 3 priorities that you will address if you are elected to represent District 5 on the City Council?
My top 3 priorities are have to do with safe streets, with economic development, and with education. And with economic development, I believe that District 5 has a great number of small businesses, and the city has not supported them as much as we could have. Recently in my business, I've been trying to build a new building, and it was extremely difficult to get all of the permits that were necessary. It was difficult to get all the funding that was necessary. And it was also very confusing and complicated, and I would like to help our small businesses make it a little bit easier for our small businesses. Secondly, safe streets and walkability for our citizens. I would like to make it so that all of our citizens can walk safely on their sidewalks. And the third thing is education. And I'm a firm believer in education and the way that education can transform our community from pre-K all the way through college.
Thank you. Juan Carlos Garcia.
There are many issues that are important to all of us. The top 3, in my opinion, have to be first and foremost organization. We have to be organized so that we can be mobilized. That means building strong neighborhood associations. From that, the next important thing to me is our infrastructure. From streets, sidewalks, drainage, the most basic things that we need so that we can attract the third thing, business. Business is what we need, quality business. Not minimum wage jobs, not living wages, but quality of life wages, wages that people can be proud of. Those are my top 3 priorities.
Thank you. Ricardo Briones.
This is a great question. District 5 has a variety of different issues that come into play. My top 3 will be streets, crime, and jobs, and they're all interrelated. You need to have very safe streets. Walking around the district for my entire life, there's some areas that don't even have a sidewalk. There's areas that aren't well lit. There's stuff that's overgrown. All this tends to breed crime. I talked to a gentleman who was at Sacred Heart, and he told me he can't go by one Sunday without there being a smash and grab. And where you can't be safe in your own home at your own church at Sacred Heart, that says a lot. In addition, if we go ahead and clean up streets and get rid of crime and definitely try to create, police responsiveness faster, they'll lead into people want to bring in economic development, people want to bring in jobs. So my 3 issues are streets, crime, and jobs, in that order. Thank you.
Thank you. Frank Ramirez.
My top 3 concerns would be crime, education, and water protection. Right now, our city is undergoing a major excavation with the Eagle Ford shale excavation. This poses a significant threat to our water rights and our water here in the city. Basically, if there's no water, there's no city. It is not worth the effort that we're putting in for a failed energy source such as fracking. Second would be crime. We have a major influx of crime coming in from south of the border. This is a major issue that is not getting even half of the airtime that it should. This is a major concern because I don't want to see violence happening on our streets, on our Riverwalk, and out in the open in front of our children. The second would be education. We need to reinvest ourselves in educating our population. If we don't take the concern of our education, we are just perpetuating a cycle of poverty. So, those are my 3.
Thank you. Richard Cardenas.
Well, you have to know your district in order to put 3 plans in place. And our district is very old and very young. So my top 3 priorities would be health and social services, education, and economic development. We have to develop master plans that include these 3 topics. Without a master plan, we cannot motivate other people to invest into the district. We should have a master plan that addresses the corridor of health and social services at the Robert B. Greene area. We should have an educational master plan to team up with UTSA to build a downtown campus that could be one of the premier campuses in the state. And the third is economic development. We should transform the old state stockyards into a good economic development business park for the district.
Thank you. Okay, question number 2. John Carlos Garcia, you will be the one to lead us off in this one. Question number 2. While you are serving in this office, how do you plan to make sure that each question asked of you by your constituents will receive an answer?
There are several ways that we do that. We'll use all means necessary. Open and extended office hours, email communication, web communication, social networking communication, as well as good old-fashioned telephone. We'll have somebody that answers the phone. I have experience in doing this, in running a business, and not just running a business, but building a business. Building a business from nothing takes customer service. Someone once told me that building a business is not about dollars and cents. It's about creating and keeping customers. Creating and developing our neighborhoods and being responsive is what's going to build our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Ricardo Briones.
So what I would do to help, build community responsiveness is definitely have satellite field offices. I think that's very important. Have extended hours also after 5 o'clock. I know a lot of people, this is a hard-working district. I mean, everyone works 8 to 5, so we're going to have to either be open on the weekends or be open after 5 o'clock. Also, we're going to have a social media component to it, which I think is very important in this day and age. As another candidate says, you do want to have. It's a very old and it's also a very young demographic for this district. We need to tie into it. You need to have a web page. You need to have people available to see what's going on. Mailers, also a dedicated phone line. I want to have my cell phone line available to any city citizens in District 5 who can give me a call if they want or need something. And then also, I do want to have regular neighborhood meetings, associations. I want to meet with the heads of every neighborhood meeting at least once a month or maybe twice a month. So, thank you.
Thank you. Frank Ramirez.
I would have to agree with my fellow candidates that communication is key and that we need to be able to speak with each and every one of our constituents that has a valid concern for any concern that may be. So I think that my fellow candidates have it right when they say using various outlets for communication, whether it's going to be telephone, face-to-face, online communications, and so on and so forth. Last thing we need to do is to repeat the same mistakes that we've been doing thus far with the chair here. So I agree that communication is a main focal point of my agenda to make sure that every concern is addressed and taken care of.
Thank you. Richard Cardenas.
On a day-to-day basis, my constituents, if elected, will have access to my staff to answer those questions immediately and as quickly as possible as we can get the answers. My belief is that I'm only representing you, but you're the district. You're what is important. Your needs is what are important. The lack of leadership in this past bond that was $59 million that was allotted to the city, and we only get 5%, was because our councilman was not engaged with you in putting those things into play. You should have better drainage, better streets, better education. But it is with your input and with your eyes and ears that we can address those matters. So I guarantee you, through phone calls, through town hall meetings, through community meetings, we will work together to solve these issues and make District 5 a proud place to raise a family.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Nothing takes the place of one-on-one communication. So I do hope to have extended hours, several locations where people can come in and talk. And I think it's especially important to have really strong teams, having a really strong staff, and having citizens yourselves who will hopefully be involved in our district that will help us communicate with each person individually. Nothing takes the place of one-on-one. And I think it's also important that we can communicate in English and in Spanish with all of our constituents. It eases the communication channels amongst us all. And I think also having, most importantly, citizen involvement. That will help us to communicate well with all of our constituents.
Thank you. Question number 3. Ricardo Briones, you're going to start us on this one. Now, this is kind of a 2-part question, and we do hope that you're very specific in answering it. How do you plan to structure yourself and your staff in order to handle responsibilities to attend meetings and events requested by your constituents? How will you make yourself personally accessible, especially to neighborhood associations? Please be specific.
This is a great question. You know, being as active as I am, I have a law office on District 5. I'm also involved with, well, I was involved with a couple of community organizations, as well as, you know, have some free time. Time management is a huge component of my day-to-day life. I think definitely having a staff that's knowledgeable, that's accessible, that speaks Spanish, that's bilingual, that is able to, if I can attend, I would give a really good reason why I couldn't attend and send a member of my staff. To be personally accessible, that's very easy. I'll leave my cell phone number and I'll give it to every constituent that wants it. They can give me a call. I might not be answer, you know, after a certain time at night. I might be asleep, but I definitely want to at least have that outlet for you. So, eso es todo lo que quiero decir. Si las personas que hablan español, que necesitas tener mi número, y también quiero tener todas las personas que trabajan por mí que saben que ellos que necesitan hacer. Perdóname, gracias.
Thank you. Mr. Ramirez.
This is a very good question, I agree. Being able to get in contact with your representative is paramount in problem solving. Finding solutions for problems should be something that your representative takes seriously and takes a priority above all else. But no one person is available to take on everything upon their own shoulders. That's why developing a team is my first and paramount goal in my seat at District 5. I would create a team that would be able to access and have access to all of your concerns and to any problems that you may have. It's foolish to think that one person could be able to solve all these problems, so it is dependent that you have a strong team that can carry some of the weight and carry some of the load off of your shoulders and be able to meet and address every concern of your constituents.
Thank you. Mr. Cardenas.
My plan in order to stay involved with the constituents is to have monthly meetings where we invite all stakeholders that want to come out and meet with me and my staff to come out. One of the things that I think is lacking is that we don't communicate across the district. Everybody's needs are different, so I would develop a system of quadrants where everybody has representation to bring their concerns on a monthly basis that we can address them. They will be the voices as to where the priorities are placed. Personally, my cell phone will be available. I will be available. Since most of the people in District 5 don't have a lot of email capabilities, I feel the phone call and personal contact is key to keeping them engaged. But in neighborhood associations and meetings, putting everybody together in one room to listen, to discuss, to plan, and to execute the solutions for District 5.
Thank you. Ms. Gonzalez.
I plan to personally be available as is necessary. I would also encourage all of our constituents to get more involved in their communities. We do have very strong neighborhood associations, and I would encourage all of us to communicate more frequently and often. I would also be available through email and other communications, but mostly I think it's important to be present in your business or in your office so you can take one-on-one calls with everybody. Monthly meetings, monthly coffees are a given. We will often be out there attending meetings, attending functions, listening to our constituents, and I intend to be available as often as I can personally.
Thank you. Mr. Garcia.
I believe the question was how would we structure our staff and then how would we interact with neighborhood associations. First and foremost, I will be a full-time representative. I do not work anymore, so I will be accessible all the time. My cell number is available. My business number is also available. The office number to our campaign is available. My email address is available. Everything is available. Structuring our staff, we'll have a staff that is responsive. If they're not responsive, they won't be there anymore. We'll have a staff that block walks, not because of there's an election, but because there's a neighborhood association meeting or a town hall meeting or something else that's pertinent to us right now, whether it has to do with Nehemiah or anything like that. That's how we're going to build our neighborhood associations. Then I plan on building a coalition of the leaders of those neighborhood associations, having a District 5 alliance, a District 5 alliance that meets at least quarterly, that's strength in numbers. This is how we're going to build our district, and this is how we're going to succeed. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, this next question, Mr. Ramirez, you're going to lead us off on this one.
All right.
Just a preamble to the question. District 5 has watched its structures, its history, and its culture disappear in the name of what some call progress or economic development. Some examples of that are La Gloria multi-pump gas station, the first of its kind in the city. Also, the struggle to save the Maldonado building according to historical preservation. Question. Tell us what you will do to assure protection of our culture, our history, our buildings, and the arts. Please be specific again.
This is a very good question. First, let me address the disappearance of some of our cultural icons that are now missing from our city landscape. This is a direct result of mismanagement of the seat holder. A seat holder must be able to stand against the other seat holders who are looking to progress on their own agenda, not District 5's. For far too long, we've been giving away our resources and our efforts to some of the more lucrative districts, including the Alamo Heights districts, the Riverwalk. There are other parts of San Antonio that exist that offer more to San Antonio as a whole, and this has been neglected for far too long. No longer should we be able to be pushed around and be told to get rid of these icons that were part of our San Antonio glory. It's time to build that glory back, folks.
Thank you. Mr. Cárdenas.
Nuestra cultura, nuestro arte y nuestra comunidad es importante para mantener dónde venimos y quién somos. We need to preserve our culture, the arts, and the buildings that identify who we are and where we've come from. As the third generation of my family to live in District 5, we choose to live in District 5. We must protect those things that are important, but we must also balance it with driving new economic factors into the community to provide better than living wage jobs. But we need to also remember who we are and where we're coming from.
Thank you. Ms. Gonzalez.
We are a very proud community, and especially proud of our structures and our history. We bought 2 houses on Buena Vista and did our very best to maintain them so that they would stay in the quality that they were in. There are many houses in our areas and buildings that need to be preserved. Recently, many of them have been named historic, and we're very proud of the fact that these houses and structures will stay the way they are. We're also working to maintain some of the streets and the sidewalks that are close to those old historic buildings so that people can walk by and enjoy them as they deserve to be honored.
Thank you. Mr. Garcia.
The arts and culture are very important to me. As a child, I stood on the stage and took classes thanks to my parents bringing me here. I've been all over the district, and I do agree that it is on the decline. We need to reverse that strategy. And as an office holder, one of the things that we can do is look for grants, look for city monies to help do things like revitalize these houses, these beautiful historic structures. For some of the families that do not have the means to do it themselves, We need to look at it because it'll help out in energy consumption and other activities. We need to remain focused on our culture, who we are, where we come from, and why we're here. I'm a musician and an artist myself, and I come from a family of that, and I believe that we need to keep that growing and moving in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Briones.
I think this is a great question. I think District 5, more so than any other district or any other side of town, is probably the most amazing artistic, historical, cultural awareness and also benefits for the city. What I want to do is definitely help with the South San Main Street project, where they're kind of revitalizing that side of town. It's, you know, it's an amazing, if you guys look into it, it's a really great organization. Also, I want to partner with other nonprofits as well as organizations to bring forth and bring more awareness of arts and culture. I think in terms of conservation, we do need to look at federal grants and state grants. I think it seems like every other, you know, entity values this art and history, and we need to value it. It's the most important thing. It's our history kind of slowly being deteriorated, and that's probably one of the most important and passionate things that I'm about. If you look at all the history that's been in there, such as, you know, Eva Garza, you know, all the amazing musicians and artists that came out of District 5, it's just a great and powerful thing, and I want to do my best to preserve that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, this next question, Mr. Cardenas will lead us in answering that one. Again, a preamble to the question. From time to time, there are opportunities for City Council members to give direction to discretionary funds. Okay, that is, funds for which they are given the authority to make some recommendations for their use. Question: how will you inform constituents of the existence of discretionary funds, and how would you involve constituents in the decision-making for the use of such funds?
My plan with the discretionary funds is to divide them up equally between the 4 quadrants of the district. Everybody needs to get their fair share. Get the message out in the northwest part of the district, the southwest part of the district, and allot those funds to be earmarked for that group. The other remaining funds that I would set aside would be for those special projects of people who come directly to me and say, hey, we need to send our band to competition. We need to invest in a certain art project. But the majority of the discretionary funds, I will leave up to the residents of San Antonio and the district that are the taxpayers that provide those funds to make the decision.
Thank you. Ms. Gonzalez.
Well, again, nothing beats one-on-one communication, and so I hope to still continue to do mail-outs and make phone calls to all of our residents so that they're aware that there is funds available. And I also would hope at community meetings that we would discuss where those funds might be used and to allow the residents to decide where they could be used and what is the most necessary for our district.
Thank you. Mr. Garcia.
Through the District of 5 alliance that I referred to earlier in building, I believe that's how we would be most effective in communicating, in addition with mailers, in addition with block walking ourselves, to let people know and come to the meetings and welcome them so that we can gather all the ideas of where these funds need to go. I respectfully disagree that it should be quadranted up, because I believe that there are parts of the district that have more need than other parts of the district, and those areas must be addressed first. We need to address those areas first so that there can be balance throughout the district. Then once we're at balance, then we can move forward and start dividing it up equally. Until then, we've got to address the most needed areas of our district. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Briones.
I agree that we do have to prioritize and definitely have, you know, the areas of, you know, District 5 that need the most care and love to go ahead, and those need to be prioritized first. I definitely want to inform through current venues as well as through social media as well as through newsletters. I want to let all current neighborhood association knows the amount of discretionary funding available and allow them to give me any input on where they would like this discretionary funding to go. I think decision making is very bottom up. In my terms, I tend to look at, you know, a grassroots level of doing things, come from a servant leader model where I need to find input, and then based on that, we'll make the best decision together as to where all this money would go to. Thank you.
Mr. Ramirez.
I agree that we're going to have to prioritize so we can know what's best to do with these funds. I think that what we need to do is we need to find out what is in the district's best interest at the time, and we need to focus and we need to focus on where that money is going to go that's going to grant us a greater return on our investment. And I strongly believe that that investment is education, period.
Thank you.